Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
What's up, everybody? It's that Week 9 feeling. It's in the air. You feel it percolating? Because I feel it. It's Week 9, baby. It's time to make that push towards the fantasy football playoffs. I'm your host on this little quaint two. This is a two-person show. This is a 1.5-person show between me and my best friend at the moment, producer sensation, Judge Giamatti. I'm your host, Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright. Thank you so much for joining us for Sunday Live. Look, I know there's a lot of other places that you could be right now, but you chose to be here, and that's special. That makes me feel good at my heart. I hope that I can help you out. If you've never joined us before on Sunday Live, here is how it goes. We talk about the news because that is, honestly, the news is the most important thing happening right now. I totally understand everyone out there blasting away into the internet their start-sit questions. Those can be answered a lot by the news. Then we jump into who is trending on the fantasyfootballers.com, where all of our rankings live, which you can go and you can check that out right now. We have a StartSit Tool. You put in player X, you put in player Y, and the computer takes it all in and goes beep, bop, 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 beep, 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 spits it out who we would start based on our projections and our rankings. And if you are a fine, beautiful supporter of us at jointhefoot.com, that unlocks the 4 players. I'm just saying. Then you can put in player X, Y, Z, and A. I started at the wrong spot of the alphabet, but you get my point. The fantasyfootballers.com. We check out who's trending on there, and then we jump into the questions from the people. Brooks, how are you doing today?
Doing all right, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Is that because Christian McCaffrey is back?
And I'm against him.
Oh, so you're not feeling great.
Correct.
Let's get into the news.
The big picture.
I tried to take a quick drink, and I think I just splashed all over myself. Not quick enough. All right, let's take a look at the news, the ins and the outs, because that's going to inform a lot of how we take on Week 9. Dak Prescott is in. That's great news. Sam Darnold is in. That's good news? I don't know. I mean, if the team thinks that Sam Darnold, coming off the concussion, is still the better option than P.J. Walker, then I guess it's a good situation. Here are situations that are not great. Kyler Murray is an afternoon game. He is taking on the San Francisco 49ers. However, he is a game-time decision. I'm not expecting Kyler Murray to play. All the news they've been talking about is we're going to take we as the Arizona Cardinals, we're taking a long-term approach to the season. The Cardinals are 7-1, even if they put in the backup Colt McCoy, who's a fine backup. Like, we've seen Colt McCoy plenty of times come in for a spot start and be an above-average backup. But even if the Cardinals end up at 7-2, they're still in a good spot for the playoffs. But if they go out and they're 8-1 and their franchise quarterback Kyler Murray re-aggravates his ankle issue and makes it worse and misses multiple weeks, then they're in a problem. So for fantasy, we are in a pickle because it is the afternoon game. You will not know until the afternoon. I am the way I am handling it, playing someone else. I'm just moving on, and I'm playing a streamer in the morning. So if you want to ride with the devil with Kyler Murray, I wish you the best of luck. Tua, on the other hand, for the Miami Dolphins, he was ruled that he was not going to play. But nay, he's going to play. However, he is the backup. He is the emergency number 2 backup on this team because they don't have any other options. The Miami Dolphins will be starting.
Hey, where's the beef?
Jacoby Beef Brisket Brissett. What does this mean for the Miami Dolphins? Well, we've kind of seen it. It means that Mike Gesicki should see a crap ton of targets. It means that Jalen Waddle should see a ton of targets. I mean, Jalen Waddle, book it. 9 receptions for 33 yards or something super wild just like that. But if you are going to stream Tua because he's in a fantastic matchup against the Houston Texans, you need to make other options available to you. At the running back position, as I said at the top of the show, Christian McCaffrey is playing. Now, they're using the term pitch count, and I know that term gets people riled up because this is football. It's not baseball. So a snap count is more of the proper vernacular, I suppose, that you could say for Christian McCaffrey. Here's how I am treating this. If I have Christian McCaffrey, I am playing Christian McCaffrey. Royce Freeman, one of their other backups, has been ruled inactive. Now, you still have Chuba. You still have Amir Abdullah, which, Brooks, I don't know if you saw the whole game, but my man Amir Abdullah, he looked fresh. He looked like the guy that was drafted in the second round that I hoped was going to turn into something. Didn't. Took the L, but Amir Abdullah looked pretty good on the field. So Christian McCaffrey is going to play. The Panthers need to win. You aren't going to see 90+% of the snaps for Christian McCaffrey. He will be spelled on his pitch count, snap count, whatever. But I think that he's still going to get enough work that you're playing him as a running back too. Unless you somehow have, you got Dalvin, you got Najee, you've got Darrell Henderson. Sure, I'll play all of those guys above Christian McCaffrey, but Myles Gaskin, Boston Scott, Chase Edmonds, nay, I'm playing Christian McCaffrey. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, James Robinson is, in fact, out. We talked about this situation at length on the Fantasy Footballers podcast throughout the week. Carlos Hyde will be the next man up. The matchup sucks. It's against the Buffalo Bills, who have shut down literally everybody that they played against. Carlos Hyde is completely a volume play. He was kind of like our barometer for, what level of player are you starting over Carlos Hyde? And I would say A.J. Dillon with Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers being out, and the way that they did the game plan last week against the Cardinals, I think I would play A.J. Dillon above Carlos Hyde. But, Tony Pollard, I'll play Carlos Hyde above Tony Pollard. Kenny Golladay is in for the New York Giants, so if you are looking to make that last-second move from Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, it's not the greatest matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, but Daniel Jones, he's going to have Kadarius Toney. He's going to have Kenny Golladay. So, look, the upside is there. Cole Beasley will play for the Buffalo Bills. Rashad Bateman for the Baltimore Ravens is in. Meanwhile, Sammy Watkins is, in fact, out. This was a complete reversal. The streams were crossed, and we're told you never cross the streams because terrible things happen. But that was also when you're hunting ghosts. So I'm not sure how much that analogy can factor into your fantasy football decisions. But Bateman is in against the Minnesota Vikings, who have lost their starting safety, Harrison Smith. He's going to be out. So, look, Rashad Bateman's looking like an okay option now. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he kind of got banged up, but he's going to play for the Cleveland Browns. He has himself a new opportunity with Odell Beckham being sent into the waiver wire, which we still don't have news. I guess the news that we do have, Brooks, is we're not expecting him to be claimed. It's like a $7 million that a team would owe him if they claim him off waivers. So, that's a little high for a rental player because you're not going to keep him on. But we'll see if he clears waivers. That'll be exciting for next week's news. Deebo Samuel is expected to play. Another, wink, wink, might be on a snap count. Don't care. I'm playing Deebo Samuel. You don't sit down a superstar like Deebo who's just smashing because of that. Robert Woods expected to play. That's great news. A.J. Brown, Darnell Mooney, we're expecting to see both of them. A.J. Green is out for the Arizona Cardinals. What are the Cardinals going to do on offense? I don't know, because we're not expecting to see Hopkins. We don't think Kyler Murray's going to play. A.J. Green for sure is out because he is on the COVID list, but goodness gracious. Colt McCoy, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk. That's a dicey proposition, but there could be some hidden fantasy value in there for those that have the intestinal fortitude to make a play. At the tight end position, and Michael Gallup is out for the Cowboys. It looks like one more week until we see his return, which Blake Jarwin on the IR. Dalton Schultz, he's still in a great situation. If you've been streaming him and you were waiting for him off the bye week, play him with full confidence. At the tight end position, George Kittle will be in. Hey, what do we got here? Another pitch count. Everyone's just counting their pitches today. I'm playing George Kittle. I will give you an example. In our listener league, I have been the fortunate one who's been able to just, sit George Kittle right there on my injured reserves slot for the last 3 weeks. Super fun stuff. I'm sure that he's had a great time there. My option was Tyler Conklin, who is a great play this week. Make no mistake about that. For a streaming option, Jason start of the week, I'm in. And you get to conk. George Kittle doesn't have a catchphrase yet. We'll see. We'll see if he can get one. I don't know.
He's just really good.
He's just really good. I mean, honestly, lately he's just been George Brittle. But I don't think you want to scream out Brittle. I mean, Kittles and bits, that's not too bad. But I'm going to play George Kittle over Tyler Conklin. Albert O, which I believe it. I'm going to take a shot. Albert Okwuegbunam. I think that's it. I apologize, Mr. Albert, if I've gotten it wrong. He is going to play and he was a little bit questionable, but he will play for the Denver Broncos. Meanwhile, Noah Fant is out. Super late desperation dart throw. He's in. Noah Fant is out. Eric Ebron is out. What does that mean, Brooks?
Time to get loose.
That's right. Thank you, Brooks. Brooks have the computers gathered all the data that they need for the next section? Brooks. Okay. I'm falling apart.
He's so hot right now.
As I said at the top of the show, he's so hot right now. With our StartSit Tool, we take a look. We gather the information. Who are the players that are the most pressing, the trending players that each of you, the Foot Clan out there, you have these questions about. Should I start? Should I sit? Should I play player X? Should I play player Y? So we take a look at that, and we bring you this incredible section named He's So Hot right now. Brooks, who's hot? Who's not?
Mike, we're going to start out with a wide receiver.
Oh, I'm hot.
Well, yeah. That's everyone
Question
knows that.
answered.
Thanks, Mike. Kadarius, we're going to start with Kadarius Toney versus the Raiders. He's starting him or Emmanuel Sanders at Jacksonville.
Ooh, oh my goodness. All right. Manny Sanders dropped the goose egg upon everybody last week, and that felt really bad. I had him. I have him in a few spots. That sucked. Now, Kadarius Toney was questionable. We saw him last week where he was active, and yet the Giants didn't want to put him in the game so far to the point that even the commentating were like, we still haven't seen Kadarius Toney. I don't know why they have that voice, because that's not Collinsworth's voice, but that's how he talks now. Eventually he got in because Sterling Shepard unfortunately left the game with a quad injury. But with another week of recovery, I expect Kadarius Toney to be good to go. And with Sterling Shepard out, I mean, Kenny Golladay was supposed to be their number one guy. Promises get crazy, as the great philosopher Matt Nagy once said. And Kadarius Toney looks like he is an emerging number one star in this league. So here's how I'm looking at this. The game script, Emmanuel Sanders against Jacksonville. Points will be put up against the Jaguars before the Buffalo Bills can just run out the clock. The Buffalo Bills aren't really one of those run out the clock type of teams. Josh Allen just really likes to show off how far he can throw the ball. So Manny Sanders, I don't think that is completely going to sway me. But Kadarius Toney could see double-digit targets. And I do, in my rankings, I have Manny Sanders projected slightly above Kadarius Toney. But this is, look at what your team needs. I would put Kadarius Toney in the higher ceiling range than Manny Sanders this week. Who's next?
How about Toney or Jerry Jeudy at Dallas?
That's Kadarius Toney. Oh, is it? Oh, man. That was an instant reaction to my support of Teddy Bridgewater last week. And he really let me down in an incredible spot. Just me though. No, Teddy Bridgewater didn't let anybody else down, including himself. Just me. I'm a selfish person. Oh, my gosh. Kadarius Toney or Jerry Jeudy against the Dallas Cowboys. I am afraid of Diggs. He's very good. I don't know what the game plan will be. I don't know who the Cowboys will choose to try and shut down. Maybe he floats around and just, takes turns shutting down Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. I am going to go I would play – if it were my team, I would play Kadarius Toney. Next question.
All right, last one for Tony is Tony or Chase Claypool versus the Bears.
Man, Chase Claypool, it's been a very up and down season, a very disappointing season for Chase Claypool. We kind of highlighted that Big Ben is, not just anecdotally when you're watching him play, which we all watch Ben play and we go, ooh, that's not how you play quarterback. Not anymore. So you have that eye test, and you compare that and you combine that with the fact that statistically speaking, he's the worst downfield passer in football right now. That was through 8 weeks of data. But it sucks because Chase Claypool is such a talented player. Really think that he can still break out over the second half of the season. But I'm going to go with apparently I love Kadarius Toney this week. I'm going to go adjust the rankings. I will move him up because I keep answering Kadarius Toney. Who else is hot right now, Brooks?
The people are worried about Darrell Williams, it looks like. A lot of with him. So Darrell Williams versus Green Bay or Elijah Mitchell versus the Cardinals.
All right, Elijah Mitchell. He wasn't really featured in the news. He is expected to play, which I guess part of that news that should factor in is my name is Jeff. He's back, baby. He's back, Jeff Wilson. Let's see what San Francisco does with that running back room. You won't know, again, because it is the afternoon game. You won't have any officials. Like, we could hit an hour before the afternoon games. Boom. Jeff is active. Trey Sermon, inactive. That is something that could definitely happen, and they just roll with Elijah Mitchell, JaMychal Hasty, and Jeff Wilson. Another thing that could happen, a player who was running around with a non-contact jersey during practice because of a rib problem in Elijah Mitchell, you could hit an hour before, and all of a sudden Elijah Mitchell is a shockingly scary inactive. That's not what I'm projecting, but I'm telling you that when you're playing fantasy football, you need to be ready for those types of outcomes. That's why, like, people ask, how am I a better fantasy football player? It's staying plugged in. It's following the news. I mean, if you're watching this Sunday Live, I'm going to make the assumption that you listen to the award-winning best fantasy football podcast, indisputable, because I'm saying it. It's the best fantasy football podcast of all time, and you're staying plugged in. But that's how, because we are talking about Elijah Mitchell throughout the week, saying this is what's going on, and you don't put your head in the sand. You need to know what is happening. You can't just reappear. You're not a groundhog. You can't reappear on Sunday morning and go, everything is great. My team's in good shape. So, what we're talking about, I got
so you're playing Mitchell or Darrell Williams versus the Packers.
So, I'm not overly concerned with Darrell Williams. I get that this could be related to the new Gore. Now, he's not related to Frank Gore, but you had shades of it. When you see that name Gore on the back of on the name tag for a running back, how are you not making comparisons? Because Frank Gore was that dude. And Gore looked like that dude for a drive. That was a pretty surprising turn of events that Kansas City went into full man football where Derek Gore had a good run and they said, let's try it again. And then Derek Gore went again. Oh, well, let's try it again. And they just did it over and over all the way until he scored a touchdown. Darrell Williams was still the main guy. He was still involved. He still had a huge market share against Green Bay. Can Jordan Love keep this game competitive? The Kansas City defense is not good. I'm open to streaming Jordan Love, but the human factor is Arrowhead Stadium, a very difficult place to play for young players, especially young players making their very first start. I am going to play I think I'm going to play Darrell Williams over Elijah Mitchell. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Darrell.
You playing Darrell or Boston Scott?
Oh man. The gut reaction almost came out of saying, well, that's easily Darrell Williams, but Boston Scott is taking on that run funnel defense of the Los Angeles Chargers. The information that we have based on last week, this is the information I have. It's the information that you have. Boston Scott's their dude, while Miles Sanders is on injured reserve. Felt like it was going to be Kenneth Gainwell. Nope, they did the old pulled out the tablecloth, and actually no, that analogy was really bad. They pulled the tablecloth out and all the dishes fell off, and those were Kenneth Gainwell, and the one dish remaining was Boston Scott. Turned it around, saved the day. I'm going to play Darrell Williams over Boston Scott. It's just better offense, better team, more scoring options for Darrell Williams. Anybody else trending?
Yeah, popular search, Mike, is the Titans running backs against each other. So Adrian Peterson or Jeremy McNichols. How do you feel about that situation?
So this is completely down to personal choice. The Los Angeles Rams, they do give up a lot of running back receptions. That will not be Adrian Peterson's role in this offense. Andy and Jason would answer probably emphatically they would be playing Adrian Peterson against the Los Angeles Rams. I am on the other side. I'm playing Jeremy McNichols. That's where I went. I had the full fab dump. In our league of record, I went full. I wanted both, so don't hear what I'm not saying. But I went full fab dump on both of them, but I prioritized Jeremy McNichols. That's where I am calling my shot on the Titans running backs. Younger, fresher legs. He's a good player. He hasn't really had his opportunity to shine, and this could be it. But well-rounded, pass catching. He's big enough that he can carry, he could carry the ball 12-plus times and then add in the receptions. Adrian Peterson he's Adrian Peterson. He's a Hall of Fame running back. But he's coming off the street. He's 36 and a half years old. No one wanted him on their team. No one wanted him. So that's where it's tough for me when all the news is coming out and it's glowing. The Titans, super impressed by Adrian Peterson. We had to take him for the practice squad, immediately place him on the active roster. You didn't really have a choice because that's who you picked. You picked Adrian Peterson as your replacement for Derrick Henry. Totally understand why, because it's prototypically the same type of running back because you want to keep continuity. You want the offense to be as similar as it possibly can. But nobody wanted Adrian Peterson on their teams. We saw tons of running back injuries. You know who found a job before Adrian Peterson? Le'Veon Bell. Like, Baltimore had their shot. They could have brought in Adrian Peterson. They passed on him multiple times. So that's my fear here, is that he is just the leftovers. But football's crazy, so I think that he should be on a roster. And, it's worth a shot. But between the two, I'm calling my shot on Jeremy McNichols. Brooks, let's get into the questions.
Stardom, sit 'em.
Before we do that, I want to thank our beautiful sponsor. Get that bottle out of the way. PristineAuction.com, the best sports memorabilia site of all time. Go over there, have a gander, take a look. I guarantee there's something on there that you want to buy, and that's memorabilia that you want to have. Signed jerseys, signed helmets, signed cleats. This cleat here, I'm surprised no one's asked about this. Like, why do you have a shoe on the wall? That thing is signed by Josh Allen, my friends, the Stallion. Right there. But use the code BALLERS when you go and you sign up. You're going to get a $10 credit for your first auction victory. Here we go. Max Johnson says, Jacoby Myers or Jeff. My name is Jeff Wilson Jr. in a PPR. Jacoby Myers not in a great spot here, but in a PPR situation, because of the circumstances, you got to go with Jacoby Myers here. Myers will see, at probably 5+ receptions. He's safe. Jeff Wilson, we have no idea what's going to happen yet with the San Francisco 49ers. He could get very limited snaps and just put up an absolute dud here. So I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. This is a matter of safety. Matt's Rosen, I love this. Carlos Hyde or Dearness Johnson. I am with Andy that I think Dearness Johnson is a sneaky start this week. It's sneaky. But fantasy football, it is a game of opportunity. It is a game of volume. I do believe Carlos Hyde will get as many opportunities as Urban Meyer can possibly give him. That could be game scripted to not a ton because they're playing the Buffalo Bills and you cannot run on the Buffalo Bills. But in this situation, I'm going to take the starter versus the backup who has a phenomenal starter in front of him. Let's see. Next question is from Miles, who says, "Oh, Kenny Golladay or Marvin Jones in a full PPR?" Okay, again, so this is the Buffalo Bills versus the young buck Trevor Lawrence, the rookie, who has looked shaky at best. Whoa, spinning my mug here. Take it easy. Or Kenny Golladay. I am good. Oh man, this one's brutal. Kenny Golladay coming off the injury right into your lineup with a matchup against the Raiders, who are the Raiders are a good team. It's fun to have jokes with the Raiders, but they are a good team. I'm playing Kenny Golladay. Ugh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Oh, and he's in a Giants uni. I mean, come on. So smooth. It has not been smooth thus far, but can we turn the sax music off? Do we have that ability, or would you have to let that ride?
There we go.
I was going to be so, uncomfortably happy with Brooks if he turned that on and had no way to turn it off, and it's just the rest of the show is me over the sax music. But uncomfortably, I'm going with Kenny Golladay. Some guys and gals over here on Twitch, shout out to you. We got Con Danks. That's a name. Mike Davis or Carlos Hyde? Carlos Hyde. I get all the arguments for Mike Davis, but I'm going to play Carlos Hyde. Also off of Twitch, we got C-Dubs24, Boston Scott or Myles Gaskin. It's Myles Gaskin. Malcolm Brown, out. Devontae Parker, out. Tua, out. This is one of those situations where you look at it and go, Myles Gaskin is lined up for so much volume. He is probably going to disappoint you. Let's be honest. We all can look in the mirror and say that the process is we're going with Myles Gaskin. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust the process here. But, man, do I not want to trust the process when it comes to Myles Gaskin. He's been such a strange player. We got Angel wants to know Tyrod Taylor or Jacoby Beef Brisket. Mirror match here. Tyrod against the Dolphins. Jacoby against the Texans. Oh, my gosh. I'll go Tyrod here. I'm letting Brandon Cooks make the tiebreaker for me. That Tyrod has a number one wide receiver. Jacoby simply does not. Oh, my goodness. We are way over time. We spent a lot of time lollygagging, so let's try and blitz a few questions here. Craig, Hurts or, as in Jalen Hurts or Daniel Jones at quarterback? It's just one dud. You got to stick with Jalen Hurts about this. Talk about David Montgomery. So, in classic Matt Nagy form, we don't know if David Montgomery is going to be activated or not. It's Monday night. You can't bank on David Montgomery at this point. And Khalil Herbert is a sketchy start at best because David Montgomery could come back and take half the work. So if you have an option that is halfway decent, Melvin Gordon, Boston Scott, I'm going to play those guys. One of the Titans running backs. Just because of the situation, I'm going to call my shot, and I'm going to play those guys over the Bears running backs. We got Jay says the missile or Claypool. Full PPR. In that case, I would play Elijah Mitchell. And then final question here will go, Adam, you snake. DJ Moore or Cole Beasley in a full PPR. Oh, my friend, my heart breaks for you. I'm still playing DJ Moore. I'm playing the better player. Stupid Sam Darnold. Figure it out, Sam. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Sunday Live. I wish you nothing but the best. I wish your opponents nothing but the worst. Be kind to each other. Be safe. And remember to keep it beautiful.